Okay, welcome to Techy Thursday. These are the technical updates from the month of January. Obviously, Paul did the end user updates yesterday, so these are just specifically more to do with the admin side of things. So the first one is a change to the way that the OAuth consent is authorized effectively. So any sort of third-party application that's wanting OAuth access to your Google information, where in the past it would just sort of like select everything and just approve anything that that the third-party app was trying to access. You've now got more granular control. So it gives you the example there is that you can give a third-party access, for example, to your spreadsheets, but not your forms. So it's just another way of basically having control of what data the third parties are allowed to access, which is quite a useful thing. This next one is a change into what Google will call their information rights management. So in the past, you as an administrator could restrict printing, copying, and downloading of files for people who are viewers and commentators. This has now changed, so they've expanded this so that it will also include, you as an admin can now include file editors and owners, but you need to do that via a data loss prevention rule. So it gives you, again, more control over your data, which is always a good thing. This next one is to do with Google Meet. So this is what they call their Enterprise Content Delivery Network. So if you configure that, then effectively what it will do is it will allow you to, number one, it will reduce the traffic volume and bandwidth consumption when you're using Google Meet. But rather than using your specific sort of like internal IP addresses with the ECDN, it will change that to self-assigned peering group names so that no IP information is shared with Google. So it's just another security thing. This is, I think Paul probably covered this yesterday as well. So this is, again, if you're using Gemini, you can use Gemini to interact with PDFs using the Drive Overlay file previewer. So again, you can look at a very large sort of like complicated PDF and get a very quick summary of the contents of that PDF, which is, again, useful. This next one is a change to if you're using Drive for Desktop. So if you've got a large sort of like Google Drive file and you're changing only certain parts of it, so say, for example, certain paragraphs of it, thinking policy documents, anything like that, they're now changing it so that when it comes to sort of like syncing back up to Google, they will only sync up the bits of the file that have changed. They won't sync up the entire file again. So if it's a very large file where it may have taken a long time to upload, this will basically shorten the amount of time that those files. So it's like what Google are calling differential uploads. So it differentiates what's changed, what needs to go back up to Google Drive, rather than moving it all back up to Google Drive. This next one's useful from an administrative point of view. So you can now got Google Chrome profile reporting for workspace users in the admin console. So it allows you as the admin to see certain information such as profile details, what version of the browser people are on, policies that have been applied, extensions installed, all this kind of thing, so that you can just keep an eye on your managed Chrome browser network within your network to see what's going on within Chrome profiles. This one is to do with sort of mobile device management, particularly for iOS applications. Now you can sort of like use tokens to act as placeholders for information specific to either the user or the device As they were saying previously, the configuration data was static, but now it's more flexible. So it allows you to basically change, depending on the user or the device, what you need to do. So just another sort of like an addition to mobile device management for iOS. Google Meet, there were quite a few Google Meet hardware updates last month. I haven't included them all because I don't think anyone in these calls actually uses Google Meet hardware, but this is just one of the updates that came out, which was effectively in the past you had to have a public certificate authority to control your Google Meet hardware. That's now changed, so you can now use a private certificate authority. This one is if you have your own version of the Chrome Web Store for your school or your college, you can now customize that web store. So you can brand it with your own school or college branding, and put your own sort of like collections of apps and extensions and whatever it is you might need, even sort of like private apps or private extensions, and put them within your own customized Chrome Web Store. This next one, again, is to do with access information. This is basically allowing you to evaluate sort of like access on APIs, and to basically take a look at what's accessing what, who's using those APIs, and what the the log, as it says, contains specific information on specific policies applied when access is granted and the reasoning why. And that is that's it for January. Updates are already coming in for next month, and next month will be Thursday of March. Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Okay, thanks, James. I guess the usual. Any sort of questions there, or anything that that jumps out as useful, concerning, or anything else in that little lineup there?
The external sharing of documents and controlling by GMT sounds interesting. How do you say it?
Sorry, I didn't quite hear that, Stuart.
Yeah, just get a bit of feedback.
Yeah, I think you get some feedback again, James. We had this yesterday, didn't we? With
shall I drop off?
If you mute yourself, does that remove the feedback bit? Just try that first. Try it again now, Stuart. Go for it, mate.
Any better?
It's okay for me. Yeah, I can't. There's no feedback there. Can you?
Yeah,
it's okay. Yeah, to hear. Yeah.
The DLP element for controlling who can do what with certain document types and stuff like that. That sounds quite interesting. But it's where you start. DLP is quite a beast when you look at it and think, what are the good practices for DLP? Some sort of guidance, really. I was talking to Chris last week, I think it was, wasn't it? And I mentioned is maybe a session during a call like this where somebody has implemented something such as DLP, how they've done it, what they've done, just for information sharing. If there's anything we can share as well, I'd be happy to do that. But just to broaden the knowledge, really, because you see all these new and exciting things coming in, and you think, well, where do I start? Where do I actually start with that? So, yeah, that would be good to know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you know, Stuart, I'm not the technical guy on the call.
Oh, you're not.
I know Stuart's shocked, and so is Dave. But we were talking about, this year doing some specific sessions on this. Obviously, the updates. I know Paul had updates yesterday, but that was like 15-20 minutes. James today, about 12 or 30 minutes. So it gives a good opportunity then within this hour to then explore something else and particular topics that might be of interest, be it DLP, you know, whatever it may be. Getting a session on that, either, you know, someone within our team or somebody who's doing this, like you say, Stuart, or possibly even somebody from Google or whatever, just to come along and do a quick, you know, 20, 30 minute call on that where they can answer any
things
questions.
That we are looking at, you know, particularly is with DLP, there's context aware, there's the Google MDM sort of stuff. So, you know, if anybody has done something like that or is looking to do something like that, or just get a poll out to see what people are interested in.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, these go out every month anyway, so it's easy enough for me to include, you know, some kind of poll for a poll on there, just on, you know, let's say the teaching side and also the technical side.
Even if it's a getting started guide, you know, this is where you need to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even a level overview saying this is the sort of plan you need to follow to implement DLP or context aware in the correct manner. Because it's sometimes difficult. You can find knowledge-based articles on stuff, but you're not started at the beginning. That's what I find with Google.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely, Stuart. Yeah, we can certainly get something set up for that, I'm sure. Nick, did you have a question you wanted to jump in? I think you raised your hand there.
I did briefly. It's a very silly question. No, it was just the Gemini bit in Drive with PDFs. And I was just actually while you guys were talking, I was just looking to see if the same feature is in Gmail. It doesn't appear to be, and I just wondered if there's any idea about when that might change, because it's the same previewing technology. So I just wondered why I can see it on a PDF in Drive and I can't see it on a PDF in Gmail. So as I say, silly question, but that was what was in my mind.
Unfortunately, recently I'm starting to use the reason because Google more and more often, because there doesn't seem to be any rhyme nor reason behind a lot of things at the moment. And yeah, it just seems to be that they're in that kind of transitionary period and haven't necessarily grabbed all the threads that they need to tie together. So yeah, I'm going to say because Google to that one, Nick.
Is that something that was there and has disappeared, or is this something that's not been there that needs to be sort of implemented?
No, I think it's not part of. It's one of those things that they've released to one product, but not to all of the products that use the same code. Okay.
Yeah, and no updates on when that might be coming in from anybody, I guess, on that at the moment.
That'll probably be coming. We just don't know when.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I've got a question which has reared its head this morning around the accuracy of some of the information on the admin panel. In particular, we've got a school that we are going through enrolling two-step verification for. And when you look at the information on the admin panel, it's way out of date. It's saying that we've only got 20 staff that have enrolled, and we are probably out of 340 or something, and we're probably nearer to 50% in reality. Has anybody experienced either a lag with figures reporting or just wild inaccuracies? Stuart, you're nodding your head. Are you seeing similar something?
I have seen something similar. Yeah, I was questioning myself, to be honest with you, thinking, are these numbers actually right? I think I was looking at 2FA enforcement, and
it's exactly what I'm looking at. Yeah,
numbers didn't match up at all,
which is worrying.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed, I don't know if anybody's come across it, they also put some suggestions for security on the dashboard as well. Say who's accessing your Google Workspace account from overseas, for instance. The option to switch that on in monitor mode, so you can actually see what traffic's being logged. So I did that for a couple of suggestions, but it didn't put it on in monitor mode. It put it actually live, so it was actually blocking anybody broad and connecting. But when I followed the instructions, it was enable this in monitor mode. It'll show you what's happening. But no, that didn't happen. So be wary of that one.
Did you ticket that one at all, Stuart, with Google? Or
Haven't raised it. No, we just quickly switched it off and we'll return to it.
went back to it. Yeah. It's something you could do. I'm not saying that you'll necessarily get the perfect answer there, but I don't think it's ever a bad thing just to let them know if something isn't quite right.
It is a bind to deal with Google support.
I must. Yeah, I know we're recording, but I to be honest, I think with any of these, like it's like coming through to us. It depends who you get.
No, it's
yeah.
I just think they got a set of templates they follow, and it's just frustrating.
Yeah, they do sometimes. Yeah, and often it's if it's a specific thing that they know about and deal about, whether it's almost like dealing with a bot in a lot of ways. If the answer to that question is within their remit, they'll do it. There's not always a lot of help outside the box necessarily on that, which can be a little bit frustrating. I'm just thinking, Dave and Stuart, on those, if you've got those inaccuracies on your admin panel where you're saying you've got X amount assigned to this and it's saying you've only got this amount assigned, I'm happy if you want to send me a couple of screen grabs, just passing it on to our folks over at Google, just to see if they've got any thoughts on it.
I'm just seeing one actually from another Google space that I'm part of. Somebody posted yesterday saying, hang on, let me scroll back up. They've contacted Google support and they've not been very helpful. Again, I wonder whether we should be recording whilst we go through this part or not. But they're basically saying the user report seems to be completely unreliable. They've had a user who had two-step verification enabled since November, who's showing as not enrolled for two-step verification. And if they click through to the user, then it shows them as being enrolled. So I think there's something fundamentally broke around two-step verification and the report or the dashboard tool for that.
Yeah.
It's only now that I've experienced it this morning. I got, sometimes you read something and you go, well, that doesn't apply to me, I'll move on. I've kind of gone, I read something about that recently, so I've just gone back and given that Stuart's experiencing something similar as I am, as this third person is, I think it's not specific to one domain or to one way of working. One of the frustrating things is when you go to support with a list of things that they've told you, they tell you to do the things that you've already told them that you've done anyway sometimes. And again, I take your point, Chris, it depends who you get through to, doesn't it? But you would hope that basically reading the ticket would be one of the skills that you could train into any help desk analyst early days. But
I mean, I'd like to say, go on, James, sorry.
I'll just stop the recording now.